But now let me just, okay, this is where you might get in a little trouble. Because in your book you call men order and women chaos. And you say order, the known, appears symbolically associated with masculinity, and chaos, the eternal feminine, is also the crushing force of sexual selection.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, we chaotic.
Okay.
You find us
well,
chaotic.
it isn't men and women that are order and chaos. It's masculinity and femininity symbolically. And so what's happened fundamentally is that our brains are wired for social cognition. So we're not natural scientists. We're natural sociologists. That might be a better, even though I shudder to think that that might be true.
Especially given the state of sociology.
Yes, well, that's it.
Okay, triggering.
Or maybe,
triggering.
Yeah, or maybe we're more naturally people who observe through the lens of fiction, and that what we see is the world as characterized. And the world, obviously, is made out of men and women and children, and those seem to be our fundamental cognitive categories: masculinity, femininity, and then the category of children. And those categories have expanded to take on connotations outside of pure person perception. And so, you know, it's for this reason that if you go to a movie, and maybe it's a Disney animated movie, and I like to talk about those because they draw on a very deep symbolic well, it's perfectly reasonable to see a witch that lives in a swamp, because those go together. Like, it makes sense. You know, the witch doesn't live in a gleaming chrome high-rise. No. You know, she lives in a swamp, because that's, and maybe in a shack.
It would be handy for her broom, I think. She could just fly out.
Well,
the
that's
door.
it. That's well, the high-rise would be better for the broom,
right,
because you could take off. You could take off better. But there are categories of symbolic association that are natural to the way we think, and the fundamental elements of those categories seem to be gendered. And so this is partly why I make reference to Taoism, for example. So for the Taoists, the world is made out of chaos and order. And chaos is the domain that you don't understand and that emerges unpredictably, but also the domain from which new forms emerge, right? Because it's from novelty that the new emerges. And I think the fundamental association between femininity and chaos is the association between what's unexpected and novel and what's new, because new forms emerge from chaos. And it's not that chaos is bad and order is good. That's
no,
not...
Both have their pathologies.
Both have their pathologies.
And their virtue. Yeah,
yes, and what you're looking for, and this is what the book concentrates on above all, is that you're looking constantly to find the balance between those two. So, for example, formally speaking, the domain of order is that place that you are when what you're doing is producing the results that you want to have produced. So imagine, think about the preconditions for not being anxious. Okay, so the preconditions are that you're constantly making predictions about what's going to happen next. And those predictions are tied tightly to your behavioral output. So you act in a certain way and you presume that a certain thing is going to happen. And if your actions produce the results that you desire, then you assume that you know where you are and you know what you're doing, and that your plan is intact, and that the environment is secure, and that keeps your anxiety under control. That's order. And then, you know, maybe you're at a party and you don't know anybody, and you tell a joke and everybody looks at you like what you said was not only not funny, but also downright offensive. And then all of a sudden you've moved from the domain of order into the domain of chaos, because you thought you were somewhere, and you thought you were someone, and you thought you were with people that were of a certain type, and you got all that wrong. And so it calls...
You're also suggesting it is going to be the woman who says, I find that really offensive.
Well, I'm not suggesting that.
But you know, it probably is.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But women are also more sensitive to negative emotion.
Right.